Hey guys, my name is Jess, and in this video I'm actually going to be helping you guys to write out a budget. And this budget, if you stick with it, will really be rewarding. And I'm going to show you ways where you can arrange your money to where you'll be surprised you can actually save more per month than you might have thought. So in this video, I'm going to show you an average budget, you a general idea of what this is going to look like. This is not necessarily my income, but I'm going to jump right in it. The average American household income is $61,937, but I just think that's a little higher than most people make. So I'm going to go with a whole budget of $55,000 here. Now, I'm going to include different sources of income. I'm going to include a main job. So a lot of people have second jobs that don't make nearly as much as their main jobs. And a lot of people actually make money from investments. I'm going to include a low source of income right here. So I'm just going to include all three of these to total out to $55,000. So I'm going to make the main job $45,000, the second job $9,900, and the investments a total of $100. Now, the first thing you do when you want to look at your source of income is you want to go ahead and divide your income into the paychecks you receive. So most people get paid twice a month. Sometimes it's salary, sometimes it's hourly. Some people even get paid once a month, but I'm going to go ahead and make this twice a month because I think that's what most people can resonate with. So I'm going to make it the first of the month, and I'm going to make the second one the 17th of the month. Okay, and just right here, source, you can set it up differently if you want, but I'm going to put job. The amount for this budget, if you divide 55,000 into 12 months, is going to be a total amount of $4,582, which is $2,291 per week. Now, the next thing you want to do when you look at your paychecks, you want to go ahead and see, I set it up this way because most people base their cost of living and their lifestyle on how much money they make. Well, at least I hope they do. So I set it up this way because the next thing you're going to want to look at is your bills and expenses per month. So I've included housing in this, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, phone, internet bill. I combine those two, and debt. A lot of people have debt, most people have debt, so I did want to put this in here. This is just the average bills that Americans might have and expenses they might have. A lot of people will have less, a lot of people will have more, depending on their lifestyle. So for this example, I put the housing at $1,250. Could be an apartment, could be a cheaper home. Food at $300. Utilities at $150, transportation costs at an average of $250. This doesn't usually always cover a car payment and gas, but I'm just putting an average here. Insurance $150, phone and internet $85, and debt, we're just gonna say $100 here. All right, so you can see that that is a total monthly cost of $2,285. Annually, that is $27,420. So you might look at this and say, well, if this is all I'm paying just for bills and expenses per year, that's not really close to $55,000, right? Well, you're right. And you might not realize how much extra money you might be spending if you look at the two differences in numbers here, the $27,420 and the $55,000. If this is your real life budget and bills and expenses and your real life source of income, I mean, if you don't have any money left over after receiving this income, there's definitely something wrong with your spending habits, and there is not enough going into your savings plan. You don't have enough discipline on what you're spending money on. So I'm going to actually go ahead and show you the savings plan right here on the top right. We're going to include an emergency savings, which is something I really recommend everyone to have. If you never use it, that's great, but you never know what might come up. You want to prepare for maybe unemployment someday. I really hope that doesn't happen, but just to have a backup, couple months up to 6 months, maybe even a year of money saved, just to have your own back, whether that's a medical bill, maybe a flat tire, extra expenses somewhere you might not be expecting. And we're going to go ahead and actually include a short-term savings. This might be a goal you set up for yourself, that maybe you want to go on a trip. Long-term savings is more about, in my opinion, I set it up to where it's saving for my future, to where I don't really touch that money unless I absolutely have to. This is very important, because if you want to save long term, you have to kind of just pretend that that money is not touchable. And of course it is, if it's, in a bank account or a savings account, like a checking account, a savings account. But you want to save for the long term. Everyone needs to be saving for the long term. We can't always rely on different retirements to help us in our retirement years. It is not a guarantee. So long-term savings is important. So that kind of goes along with investing as well. You can really grow your money if you just have a stable way to invest your money. Whether, I mean, this can include IRAs, this can include even direct, I guess, investing into the stock market. If you want to directly invest it with different apps, I mean, if that's the way you want to go just to get started, go ahead and start investing. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give you the best advice, but I do suggest to invest in something to see how much your money can grow, and the compound interest will just take off, and there's definitely room for possibilities in investing. All right, so for this budget plan, we're going to include 20%. You should be taking 20% at least from your income and putting it into savings. So 20% of 55,000 is actually going to be $11,000. If you take that per month, it's $916. Now, you're going to see here, well, 11,000 is still far off. If you add 11,000 to 27,420, as you see right here, and see right here in our expenses, it still does not add up to this $55,000. So I will show you what is going to happen. It would be great to save $400 to kind of have your back in an emergency situation. You can, of course, save less or more, but we're just going to put out some numbers here that might seem kind of high, but you'll be really surprised at the results. For the short-term savings plan, we're going to do $450. Long-term savings, in my opinion, should always be a little higher, so I put it at $650. And investing could be lower if you would like, at $300. The total savings for this budget plan is actually $1,800. So a lot of people might think, well, it's impossible to save $1,800 a month. That's more than my actual housing costs. I mean, it's just impossible, right? Right? But not necessarily. If you have this type of income, and it's going to be less if you have less of an income, all these numbers are going to fluctuate. This is not a one size fit all. But with this type of income, if you don't include taxes, obviously, $1,800 might be doable. And if you take that $2,285 per month, along with that $1,800 per month, it still leaves you with $497 left. So this is the point I'm trying to get to, guys. If you have something like this set up and you're like, oh no, it's so impossible to save money because what if something happens and I just can't take money out of my savings right away and I need cash, I need something now, what am I going to do? Well, I mean, in this example, you're still going to have $497 left. And I think most people, with bills and expenses aside, money in the savings account, everything organized, if you stick with this budget, $497, in fact, is just so much money left over. If you take that $497 and you put more into the savings account, well, guess what? You're potentially raise your source of income in your investments. The more money you invest, the more money you have a potential of returning to you, the more money you have of gaining in interest, dividends, things like that. So also keep in mind, the more money you have in a savings account, if you have a high interest savings account, it's just the more money you have, the better. And I really suggest looking into a high interest savings account where they pay you, a lot of bank accounts will be like 0.001% or 0.01% for the interest they pay you for their savings account. And that just equals like pennies on the, it's not a lot of money, but Trust me, there are banks out there willing to pay. The interest rates will fluctuate depending on how the economy is, but I mean, I've seen it in the 2% range, even higher. It is not impossible to make money off of the savings you already have. Have that interest account where it's $650. You put $650 in there, you're going to be gaining compound interest. You know, it's just this ripple effect. If you have an interest rate of 2% or even 1% even, and you have a pretty decent chunk of change in your long-term savings account or any of these savings account, it's, you can open up 3 accounts with a high interest savings. You're just going to be making interest on top of the interest you made the previous month. I mean, interest is really going to be helping you. It's going to be helping you to grow your money more than a low interest savings account, and definitely more than a checking account. So savings accounts really can help to build wealth over time. It's not a get rich quick thing, but it's, enough to help your money grow, and it's sometimes even more stable than investing into the stock market directly. I mean, if you don't want to invest in the stock market, go ahead and find a high yield or a high interest savings account, because it is just so worth making that little bit of extra money and interest per month. You'll be surprised how much you might make, especially if you total it in the year. You could be making a couple $100s a year just from interest. It may not seem like a lot, but that could be, that could be a whole month of insurance, or it could be 2 debt payments, or it could be a utilities payment, or even a whole food payment. You might be able to eat for free for a month. So I don't know. This is just, in my opinion, there are ways to work a budget to where you're able to put more money in savings rather than just blowing it on things you don't need. And if you stick to budgets like this and you write out a plan depending on what income you have, it's good to stick with it, and it's really good to see what can happen. And you might have a lot more money left than you think. You could put this money somewhere else. You could save it and maybe save it for a few months, and put all of it into the long-term savings, put all of it into the short-term savings, whatever you might do. You could pay off, a car payment for 6 months. It's really good to look at things this way. The whole point is, guys, if you really take a look at your finances and you really take a look at your source of income, your paychecks, you dedicate paychecks to your bills, you stick with your bill expenses, you stay on track with, if you give yourself an extra $100 per week on personal expenses outside of these expenses like laundry, soap, house stuff, you're still going to be able to save money. And I really think it's possible to squeeze room into it somehow. But the more you watch your accounts and the more you just really pay attention to what you're spending money on, the more you're able to put money in this pretty area over here. So I really hope this video helps you guys. This is not going to be everyone's income, but I really want you guys to go ahead and try out, putting your own numbers in here and seeing like, oh wow, I might have all this money left over, and I might have all this room to put money in savings. You just never know unless you try. And if you don't have money in savings that you're able to put in here, try looking at your expenses. Try looking to see if maybe you could downsize the size of house you have. Maybe you're spending too much money on food. This could be eating out as well. Your utilities might be high because you're running your utilities way too much, or maybe you have an expensive car that you could be selling to get a cheaper car. Maybe you're overpaying for insurance, things like that. I feel like there's always ways to move money around, benefit you in the long run. So if you guys found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a like. If you guys really want to see future videos and support my channel, consider subscribing. I really do appreciate you guys watching until the end. You guys are awesome. I want to know basically what you guys think of this video. If there's anything that you do differently in your budget plan, go ahead and comment below and give me some of your thoughts. I'd really like to know what kind of things you guys do to save money, and let me know if there's any questions you guys have. I might be able to answer, and if not, maybe I could do some research for you and help you out. All right, guys, thank you for listening. You're awesome, and I'll see you in the next video.